Welcome back to the Conscious Wealth Podcast. I need you guys' attention for a second. I do not do this often. I don't think I've ever done this before. If you guys can give me the next 30 minutes or less of your time, this single video will be hands down, unequivocally, the most important life-altering video you will ever watch on the subjects of freedom and the matrix. And I truly mean that. What I am going to be revealing to you today is going to be so uniquely clarifying that you're not going to ever need to watch another YouTube video on these subjects again. But before I reveal these revelations to you guys that have altered the entire trajectory of my life, why I'm here, and what this all means, I need to tell you a quick story. So journey back with me to a time when I was 17 years old. So I'm 17 and I decided to take an art of film class at my high school. It seemed like an easy A, and the professor had a reputation of being super chill. So I signed up for it. Little did I know, this single class would alter the trajectory of my life forever. You see, what I would go on to learn in this class revealed to me a completely different way of looking at the human experience, the world, culture, and at cinema. Up until this moment in my life, I viewed movies as largely fictional pieces of art for the purpose of entertainment, heavily dictated by the surface level plot, probably like most of us do. However, through this class, I was shown an entirely new world of deeper meaning in movies, unconscious messages, how lighting, angles, and sound are used to convey emotion, symbolism, metaphors, foreshadowing, and a whole host of other incredibly eye-opening realms of study. I will never forget the day that our professor announced to us that we will be watching and studying The Matrix for the next month or so. As we began to watch this movie, my whole life flashed before my eyes. Everything I had experienced in my adolescence began to make perfect sense.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Many viewed this as a cool or out there futuristic sci-fi movie. Yet, as I'm sitting there watching it, I'm getting something completely different from everyone else in the class, apparently.
You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?
I was a 17-year-old kid, a senior in high school, realizing through psychedelic exploration, cannabis exploration, and this single art of film class that reality was not what I had been taught. I was not a stranger to peeking behind the veil, if you will, especially thanks to psychedelic use that started at age 16. However, this month of studying what this movie actually was conveying about the human condition, about the societal structures in life, altered the course of my life forever. If there was no art of film class for me at age 17, there is no J-Griff today. There is no you watching this video today. Everything that my personal journey and ultimately my business and service journey went on to become came from many of the realizations that I had at 17 years old, sitting in this class watching The Matrix and realizing that this was one of the highest level documentaries about the human condition ever created.
I can't go back, can I?
No.
I share all of that with you because for those of you who are familiar with the hero's journey, that was my first real call to adventure in my life. And my answering of that call is the only reason I am here today on your computer or your phone screen that you're currently watching this on. I want you to really think about that. There are a handful of moments in every person's life that, if answered, alter the trajectory of one's life forever. But we never realize it when we're in that moment. You can only realize it in retrospect and pinpoint, wow, from that day on, my life was never the same, looking back. And what's so unique about this concept is that if anything were to play out differently, I mean, any small little detail were at all different, the entire course of one's life would not be what it needed to be for self-actualization. Is this God that we're describing? Is this merely coincidence or maybe synchronicity? Whatever it is, this year of my life was my first deep knowing. There were others like me who desired to peek behind the veil into the unseen realms, and that I was not alone.
What are you doing?
Going with you.
No, you're not.
No?
From age 17 on, whether I was experiencing my own consciousness or experiencing it through a masterpiece such as the Matrix movie, I intimately understood and felt as a knowing the truth and connection to what I was experiencing behind the veil. My soul was searching for answers to better understand why the fuck am I here and what does this all mean? Now, let's fast forward 14 years to today. The Matrix has become a massive buzzword and is incredibly trendy to post about and to talk about, largely because of Andrew Tate and all of the fame that he's garnered from fighting the Matrix or calling out the Matrix at scale. Yet, if you analyze 99.9% of the content that you can find on the internet about the Matrix, you're going to hear all about the financial system, the World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg Group, the banks, and maybe the elites, and so on. Nowhere do we actually get to the heart of the matter and actually address what the Matrix really is. So today, I am going to share with you what I have learned over the last 14 years since that day I sat in art of film class and my professor announced that we would be studying the Matrix.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change.
This has been a journey of going from a curious little boy to a highly curious, rebellious adolescent to an enlightened man. And please do not take my phrasing of referring to myself as an enlightened man too seriously. I'm just a curious student of life who has been blessed with certain experiences that not everyone has had. And so I'm able to share perspectives that some part of you deep down knows is truth. You already know what I'm going to share today. In a moment, I'm going to reveal to you what I have come to learn about the Matrix, what it really is, and what the whole point of our existence on this planet actually is. But before I share this, I need to share one more quick story with you, or none of this is going to make sense. When I was 29, I felt called to participate in a shamanic, deep tissue, biostimulation trauma massage, assisted by ketamine and MDMA. That's a tongue twister, I know. Sounds pretty fancy. That basically means that we know that trauma is stored in our body. The deep tissue massage, accompanied with electricity and voltage, allows us to release that trauma, and the ketamine and MDMA allow us to dissociate from our body a bit, as well as open our heart to actually work through and process these experiences. Needless to say, This was a blast off like anything I have ever experienced. And this experience was deep. For the sake of time, I'm only going to share the single most profound experience that I had during the entire ceremony. I am gone in other dimensions for a few hours. And at some point towards the climax of this experience, I am essentially a ball of colored light energy. It was like a soft blue hue. And I am shown experientially where I came from, what I actually am, why I am here, and how I chose all of the life that I've experienced as a human in my meat suit. What do I mean by that? I am shown that I chose my family, I chose my upbringing, I chose all of the adversity that I've encountered along my life thus far that I often felt like a victim about. I chose every single detail, and I was shown this. Not like told this, not like I kind of felt it. I was shown it, memory by memory. My soul chose every single ounce of the journey I have walked as an opportunity for specific spiritual ascension and growth. This is the human game of 3D limitation due to being stuck in form, aka our meat suit that limits us, time limits us, and space, not being able to be in all places at once. That is the limitation as well. All three of those confine and limit something that is limitless. I was shown visually and experientially that we are all infinitely knowledgeable about the true nature of what we are, how we're simply eternal souls, and how we choose to come into human form and be born into limitation for a specific period of time. We actually choose that in order to learn very specific lessons about ourselves, aka consciousness. I was shown that before we are born, we are all knowing. And then the second we're born, we develop amnesia. And then we go through the ages of 1 to 18, in which we experience intense programming into our left brain, into our head, into our egoic construct, which further deepens us into this amnesia of who and what we actually are.
I have these memories from my life. None of them happened.
We chose to come here to remember. So the game was made far more challenging by wiping our memory and our knowing when we are born. But here's the kicker. We were still left with a soul, and our soul is all-knowing and cannot ever forget. But we were given an ego, and the ego has no idea about this and cannot fathom or accept it. Welcome to the human paradox. Our ego is then trained from ages 2 or 3 to 18. And by that time, just as Morpheus shares to Neo in the Matrix, most of these people, Neo, are not
ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
This quote encapsulates the human condition. The Matrix is not a bank. The Matrix is not a person. The Matrix is not a family. The Matrix is the human condition that most people have never seen outside of, and they want to point fingers and blame someone else outside of them. Some of us remember from a young age, but this is incredibly rare. For others of us, it takes trauma and pain and suffering to bring this awareness out and to lead us into our awakening ultimately. Just like consciousness, we are offered the proverbial red pill or blue pill. And once you expand your consciousness and expand your awareness of what cannot be seen with your 2 eyes, you develop a 3rd eye.
Why my eyes, sir?
You've never used them before.
to see that which cannot be seen with your two eyes. So as I began this video off by stating, 99.9% of the videos that you're being shown right now on your timeline about the Matrix are only further tying you into the 3D systems and the very Matrix that we live in. From a higher consciousness perspective, none of this is real at all. We're just spiritual beings enjoying the human experience, in meat suits, learning about limitation and playing around with it. And yet so many of us are not enjoying this game in the slightest bit. Why do you think that is? Because without awareness of self, aka your soul, not the I construct, your soul, you will suffer deeply. Without awareness of everything I've shared today, you will genuinely fall asleep to the dream that I'm talking about, which for all intents and purposes is your day-to-day life. The Vedics and different Native American cultures referred to this as Maya, the illusion of self, the dream that they referred to it as, the egoic dream that many of us fall asleep to. And you will actually identify and attach to the world of form as long as you are living in this dream. The real Matrix that we have fallen asleep to is that you are not who the fuck you think you are.
Free your mind.
You just aren't. And until you wake up to that and remember self, you will suffer deeply in this life. And you will wonder, what is this all for? You did not come to Earth to work a job. You're not here to slave away at a 9-to-5. You did not come to Earth to get married or even to have kids, even if those are noble pursuits. You didn't come to Earth to get rich or to chase money. You didn't come to Earth to achieve any 3D outcome. It's not about the material world. You came here, whether you know it or not, to remember who the fuck you are. And the more you play into the material world without earning that right of first mastering the unseen world and experientially knowing and carrying it with you as a day-to-day knowing that this isn't real, you are creating your own suffering. If there is one message that I could choose for every single one of you to watch, one video that I could just push a button and have go viral out of all of our content, it would be this video. There is no deeper truth, is no deeper realization that you can have in human form. Nothing is more worth your time and your energy. This is humanity's work while we're here. And for whatever reason, I've been called forward to share some of my experiences with all of you. I am not a guru. I am not claiming to know anything special or to be anything special. Everything that I have inside of me, you have inside of you. The difference is I've dared to look at it and to explore it, despite my ego being terrified of it. I have trained it that it is not the master, it is a servant. And most of us are being run by our tyrannical egos. I am no different from you. So with that, I wish you all peace and love, and I pray that this message speaks directly to the part of you that already knows this as truth. Even if you've never experienced it or you don't remember experiencing it, you've likely glimpsed behind the veil, but then you fell back asleep to it. And that, my friend, is the real Matrix. There is no greater threat than that. And it has nothing to do with any systemic issues outside of us. It has to do with our own dharma and our own self-realization journey. And it is up to each and every one of us on a soul contract level to wake up to our own dream. And once you do, all of life opens up to you and you have literally mastered the third dimension. You can co-create whatever it is that you desire. But until you do that, you will deeply suffer, and you will think that it is something out there's fault, or you will think that you're simply a victim. Wake up, Neo. Wake up.
A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible.